And now, to begin our award ceremony, I'd like to invite one of our jury members, Stuart Chapman. He's the Tigers Initiative lead at WWF International for a very special address. Stuart, over to you. Welcome.
Yes, good afternoon, good evening. It's afternoon here in Nepal, where I'm based. And I was asked to really do two things. One was just to reflect on my own conservation journey, and secondly, to introduce the awards. Well, look, firstly, just to start, I knew what I wanted to be since I was 5 years old. I knew I wanted to be a naturalist. I didn't have an upbringing on a farm, or my parents didn't own a zoo. I just had a suburban garden. But I found something in nature and it connected to me, and I never, ever wavered from that course. I had trouble in my teens knowing what exactly the job would be. And as parents start asking that difficult question, so what are you going to be when you grow up? And eventually I heard a six-letter word, and that was what I decided that I wanted to be, and that was a ranger. And to be a ranger, I felt, brought me close to nature, brought me in line with protecting nature, and also in the context of England, educating others into why we need protected areas. That job as a ranger then led me to my first sort of international posting as a ranger trainer in a panda reserve in China. And the reason I mention that is that I often get asked, how do you break into that sort of international conservation field? Or how do you get out of the country or the context you're in and go somewhere else? And I signed up to the United Nations Volunteers Program, UNVP. I would say check it out. They offer all sorts of volunteer programs across the world. But the lesson that gave me was that if someone is prepared to volunteer, put yourself in a very tough position, sometimes good things can happen. And in my case, I was very lucky. I got noticed and I was asked to apply for a job in WWF in Vietnam. And I applied for the job, got the job, and 30 years later, I'm still working for WWF. And every time I've looked around for other positions, I've seen something else that excited me within the organization. I've worked on the Heart of Borneo program. I've worked in the Greater Mekong program in Southeast Asia. And as you just heard, I'm now leading the Tiger program for WWF. I would just finish by saying, just around my own personal experience, working in conservation is more than a job. It's two other things. It's both a purpose, which aligns to my own values, and it's also a passion. And I think conservation for me is about protecting wildlife in wild places, but it's also about enjoying it. And the screen background that you can see here, it says Cats of the World and has all 41 species of wild cat. And one of the quests that I embarked upon many years ago was to try and see all of the world's wild cat species. So out of the 41, I've seen 30 wild cats. And I think it's very important as conservationists, as naturalists, to enjoy the natural world. And whether you're a birder or you're into butterflies or you're into bats or whatever it might be, find that passion and focus on it, because it will add so much more to your experience in the workplace. If in your spare time you go into nature looking for animals or looking for whatever it is, going to protected areas, traveling to try and see something, and I think it just adds another dimension to the whole sort of conservation journey. So with that in mind, look, the People of Nature Awards, I personally don't think there are enough awards in conservation. I think given the importance, and I just heard some of the speakers just talking just now, given the importance of the environment for humanity, And given the, I think, ethical reasons of protecting nature because it needs to be protected, I feel that the number of people in the front line of conservation, whether they're working in the jungles of Southeast Asia or the frozen forests of the Russian Far East, or the jungles of the Congo or Amazon, I don't think there's enough recognition for what I would describe as conservation heroes, who protect and conserve natural places, who in their own either small way or big way have an impact on nature. And I was so impressed with the nominations that I was asked to review for the People of Nature Award. I could see people who have put their life and soul into creating something that may be small scale locally, but it's having a huge impact on the lives of people and the wildlife and the area that they're touching. So I was very honored to be asked to be one of the judges for the People of Nature Award. I hope that there will be more categories in future, because I think that there are so many conservation workers, heroes that need to be recognized. And of course, there only can be a handful of winners. And I think We Naturalists is a perfect platform for doing it. And I think as an organization, and I know you provide a lot of digital platforms and everything else, but I think in this day and age, it's exactly what we need.